So let's do today an exercise in antiquing cameos, and I'm going to take the opportunity to show you also how to make twigs and vines bezels that are very fit for fairy and elven pendants. So I have these cameos, and the thing is that I do not remember where I got them, but if you go on Etsy and you just search a fairy cabochon mold, you'll find a whole lot of them. So I baked the cabochons, and then I'm putting them on a third thickest setting sheet that is graphite pearl. You can also use 2 parts black and 1 part silver to get this. And I'm just using an oval cutter, and then I will be using Donna Cato's medium sponge for the back to texturize it a little bit. Now remember, whenever I do faux antique silver, I avoid putting too much texture on the back because I'm trying to make it look either like sand casted silver or hammered silver. Here we'll go for sand casted silver. And then you place them on a tile and a wax paper. And of course, after the pressing on the texture on the back, you'll have to recut. The oval is one of Premo's Sculpey's cutter sets. I will post the link in the video description. Now, why I'm using the graphite pearl is because this is pretty much how antique silver looks like. It is never really black. Only in extremely oxidized Native American jewelry you will find black, but generally speaking it is a very dark gray that still has a shred of shimmering, silvery shimmering in it. So once we bake it, we will make the bezel, and I'll show you how to make the bezel. It's very, very simple. First of all, place some bake and bond. Of course, you can place liquid clay, but I find that bake and bond gives a better bonding, and it's also cheaper than liquid clay. So place the bake and bond and smear it really good, and then all you have to do is to make very, very, very thin strings of the graphite pearl clay. And it's okay if they break, because you'll have to break them anyway. What you're trying to imitate here is simply pretty much like a bird's nest, the way that they intertwine and lock twigs and grasses and vines to make their nests. And you just start placing your little strings fairly haphazardly on around the cabochon. This is why you don't have to worry too much about your cabochon mold being perfectly oval or anything, because it is very random and very whimsical, and you're trying to imitate nature. And again, nature usually is very, very random. You don't, even if there are some patterns that repeat, that is the beauty of it. Don't forget to place some of the twigs, not much round, but have them a little bit squiggling to give the whole impression of a bird's nest, if you want. It will be like your little fairy cabochons are just simply sitting in a bird's nest. And I'll just let you watch how I do this. And now starts the playing with antiquing, and I'm going to use a whole range of the ArtAlchemy waxes and the Frank Garcia Artisan powders. The idea is that first you place a base of any of the waxes. In this case I'm using brushed iron. I know it looks very dark, but believe me, it will not be like that. And what I'm trying to do is to establish a base in which I'm going to place some artisan powder. Now, remember what I told you, that whenever you mix these waxes, you always create new effects and new colors. It's very important to clean your brush very well, and you can do that with alcohol. I'm going to place on top of it some Opal Magic wax and just play around with it. And always, again, clean your brush very well, and also wipe the raised areas of your Cameo. Now, before the wax sets, I'm going to place some artisan powder. In this case, I used Try-on Patina, and I'm just creating a new effect. As you can see, the colors always change. And once I am mixing it, and why I'm doing it before the wax sets is because the wax will trap the powder and will seal it. So you see, I am wiping again the raised parts of the Cameo, and you can use a little bit of alcohol on your paper towel for better cleaning. And I will let that sit, and moving to the next one. This time I'm using Amethyst Magic, that's in the Antique Brilliance line, because there are three lines. One is Antique Brilliance, one is Metallique, and one is Opal Magic, and you have a lot of colors in each of them. Now, see, I didn't wipe my brush very well. I still have some brushed iron there, so I need to clean my brush better. And then I will be applying some of the Amethyst Magic. And you will see the Amethyst Magic is really neat because it's one of those iridescent that changes color depending on the angle. And again, I am going to play a little bit around. I want a little bit more Amethyst Magic on this. And I am going a little bit above and beyond what I would normally do, just because I want to show you how the colors change when you mix all this media. Now, on top of this, I'm going to use the artisan powder. Sorry, this is the first one. And I'm going to use a little bit of black Frank Garcia artisan powder, because I want to get into evidence more the lines of the cabochon, of the figure on the cabochon. And again, I am wiping off the raised surfaces, and it's okay if I wipe off some of the surrounding area. That's perfectly fine. You can see it just gives an extra new dimension. I am doing the same on the second cabochon, and you see how it looks differently. It's the same black Frank Garcia artisan powder, but it makes everything look differently. I have a third little cabochon that I'm not entirely sure what it is, but anyway, so now I will be applying some Opal Magic on top of that Frank Garcia powder. That again, it will give again a different look and a different dimension to the whole thing. And once again, I'm wiping it. And then comes once you're kind of happy with the result you have, make sure that you wipe really good the tops, and then I'm applying old silver on the little twigs and branches, and you'll see how it instantly gives it the appearance of aged silver. Of course, it will be much nicer once it hardens and it can be buffed. And I'm doing this on all three pendants, and of course I will do that on the back of the pendants as well. Now see, this one I have no idea. It's a naked lady bathing. I don't know if it's a fairy or if it's a lady who's ready to be slaughtered by somebody, but I don't know. I remember I purchased it just because I couldn't figure out what it was, and once I purchased it and I got the mold done, I still wasn't able to figure out what it was. So, but you know what, for the purpose of showing you an exercise in antiquing, it will do. So now I will let them dry and harden a little bit, and I am going back. This time I'm using the Marquise blue on this one, because I want to do a difference, a better difference between the edges of the Cameo and the center of the Cameo. On this other one I will use Antoinette pink for the same purpose. And always, whenever you want to set your powder, use a little bit of the Opal Magic. I used on the one that I used the amethyst on, I used vintage silk, and on the other one I used vintage silk and royal robes, and on the bluish one I used blue velvet. The naked lady one has a red amber. Then once you're happy with the looks, just let it harden. And I applied a little bit of Opal Magic wax on the raised areas. So I applied the blue velvet on the bluish one, I applied the royal robes on the more brownish one, and I applied vintage silk on the naked lady one. And again, just let it harden. I let them harden for more than 20 minutes, for about an hour, just because I had other things to do. And then once I was sure that they are hardened enough, I just came and buffed them with a soft cotton cloth. And you will see how they look absolutely beautiful. And all you have to do is to just poke a hole and attach a bail, and it will be done. But you will see how beautiful this media works for antiquing cameos and for making all kinds of fairy and elven pendants. I will do later a bigger piece using cameos, and I'll show you another trick, but for now this is another way you can play with the ArtAlchemy waxes and Frank Garcia Artisan powders. Happy playing!